Today, I am going to give you some tough love, and I'm going to talk about why you are not successful as a content creator. Why should you believe me? My credentials, I've worked with brands like... Before I get into it all, I'm Maddie Boumé, founder of Live Like Mad, and I am on a mission to help online business owners turn their followers into actual leads and money for their business through their social media strategy and ManyChat automations. So if you stumbled on this video and you're like, that is me, make sure to subscribe because I post weekly videos with tactics, strategies, insider information that you can basically steal. Now, here's the thing. You are not bad at creating content. You just have bad systems, or frankly, no systems at all. And that is the biggest game changer I have seen for businesses who are trying to create content, because at the end of the day, you have all of the different verticals of your business and you're focused on all of them at once. And like you would never expect to be able to project manage without a system, you can't create content without a system. It rarely works out well for someone to just be like, oh, I'm gonna fly by the seat of my pants. Maybe if you are an individual who's just looking to create content for fun, that works. But if you are a business that really wants to step into your social media era and see the success that you have seen other businesses do, they're using a content calendar. Speaking as someone who helped grow an online business from 12,000 followers to well over 500,000 in I think it was just 3 years. The content calendar was the North Star guiding force that got us there. So today I am going to talk about content calendars, if you couldn't guess. And I specifically want to talk about the 4 things that for me are must-haves in your content calendar. And then at the end, I'll tell you a little bit more about the content calendar I use. If you've reached this point of the video and you're like, amazing, I will continue to listen to you talk, but I do really want a good resource and I actually want your content calendar, check out the description. I have a link to the exact content calendar I use, I swear by, I use with clients. I have finally made it available, so definitely check that out. But let's get into it. So really quickly, because I just want to make sure that everyone is on board for knowing that they need a content calendar, I want to speed run through the benefits, okay? Not only does it help you stay organized, but it saves you time. As a business owner, your time is literally the most precious thing you have. And so if you are constantly wasting time figuring out oh, did I do that? Wait, what's the status of that? What's happening? That is so much missed opportunity for you. So not only does it keep you organized, which is helpful, but that's also going to save you time. Your content calendar, if it's set up correctly, can also be a space for brainstorming. I think one of the biggest pitfalls I see people fall into is the fact that they have Post-it notes and random iPhone notes and a notebook with half a page of ideas. I mean, I've done literally all of these things. I'm actually proud right now. My desk doesn't have a single content idea on it because it's all in my calendar, but that took me a very long time to get to. So having a content calendar that's set up correctly gives you this place to store all of your ideas, because I guarantee you when you feel oh, I don't have any good ideas, it's not that you don't have good ideas, it's just that you don't have a good way of storing them so that you can refer back to them and execute on them. And then finally, and probably the most important benefit of creating a content calendar, is that it's going to give you consistency. Social media experts on the internet say a lot of different things, but I do feel the one thing that we are all on the same page about is that consistency is important. Not only for the algorithm to say hey, I'm an active participant in your platform, incentivize me, put my content in front of people, but also for your audience. Because if I find this really great account and I want to watch more of their content, but I'm wait, do they post? Do they not post? I don't know what to expect. I don't know what I'm going to see from them. I'm going to have less of an investment or less of a desire to follow the actual account versus the person where I'm oh my gosh, wow, they post every day or they post 4 times a week. I'm getting so much value from them. So Consistency is so important and honestly so undervalued. So having a calendar really helps you finally achieve that. Now let's get to the part that you probably actually care about, which is my 4 content calendar must-haves. After helping so many different businesses and creators try to streamline their process, these are the 4 essential elements that I find necessary for every content calendar. Okay, number 1 is a streamlined process. So the first content calendar I ever created was basically just like a Google Doc of content. I would be like, here's the image, here's the caption, here's the hashtags. But no one ever knew, like, okay, is this done? Like, where are we at in the process of creating this? And so when I finally introduced statuses and like the process into the content calendar, it was such a game changer, especially if you're working with teams, because it's so helpful to know, okay, this is the content that needs to be filmed. This is the content that has been filmed and needs to be finalized. And then like, this is content that is ready to go, scheduled, etc. So it's really helpful to have that status so you know where every single piece of content stands. This not only helps remove bottlenecks, so sort of that like unknown, well, I'm not really sure where we're at in the process, but it also really ensures that you're moving things through the pipeline. Number 2 is that your content calendar should reflect your content pillars. So your content pillars are those sort of themes that encompass your brand, and a well-executed social media strategy is going to have 4 to 5 pillars, so that way you are talking to all of those different elements. And when you're able to label those within a content calendar, it ensures that you're really hitting on those different themes. If I don't have that labeled, I might realize like I'm only talking about pillar 1. Like I'm only for myself talking about ManyChat, and I haven't even touched on social media or business behind the scenes, etc. So adding this really ensures that you have a balanced strategy and you are sort of balancing those different pillars. Because a lot of the times when I talk to someone, they're like, oh yeah, I have content pillars. And then I ask, okay, well, how often are you talking and hitting on each pillar throughout a week? And they have no idea. So adding this in allows you to say like, oh, wow, okay, it is balanced. Or, ooh, we're really like skimping on pillar 4 or something like that. I feel like this third one is not talked about enough, but is so important. And that is your sales funnel. So I really like to be able to label content and note what part of the sales funnel it fits into. A lot of people forget this, but like any sales funnel you would have on a website, on your email, like you have a sales funnel within your social media content as well. There are 3, I think of it as like 4 different parts of that funnel. You're gonna have awareness, nurture, sales/conversion. And then I also add sort of like a lead gen category to that. I can make a whole nother video on the social media sales funnel. Actually, let me add that to my Notion because I think that would be a good idea. But a lot of people forget about that. And so what happens is I see accounts that make a ton of awareness and sales content, and then they wonder why no one is buying from them. And it's because they're really missing out on that nurture. They're really missing out on the opportunity to let their audience better get to know them. So that way they've built that trust, and then they're more successful when their sales content goes live because they've built this audience of people who trust in them, their mission, their product. And then they're like, oh, amazing, this is the resource I was looking for. So when you start to label your content and note where it fits in the sales funnel, you get a really good sense of, okay, am I hitting all of the different parts, or am I solely focusing on awareness content or sales content? It's another really great way, similar to the content pillars, to check in and see that we're balanced across our strategy. Okay, the 4th must-have is something that I implemented more recently, but I have become obsessed with it, and it is metrics tracking. So in the past, I had my content calendar in Notion, and then I would use sort of another tool to track my metrics, and they kind of felt very disconnected. But recently, I decided to add my metrics into my Notion content calendar so I can see all of the information in one place, as opposed to sort of having to do like a split screen sort of action. Yes, this does require me to add them manually, but I think I like that little weekly check-in on what's performing well, how are things doing, like let's get a pulse check on like content performance. And then it also allows me to gain insights into how I can optimize the content I'm creating for the future based on what's doing well. I can set little reminders to repurpose high performing content, and I can sort of identify gaps based on how things are performing on a week over week basis. I know I just ran through all of those, but if you've reached this point and you're like, okay, great, I'm sold, I want to add all of these to my content calendar, but I don't know how to, I basically just described my entire content calendar. So this is the ultimate content calendar template. It is built out of Notion. It is, like I said, how I run my entire content strategy, how I've run clients' content strategies. I am obsessed with it. If you are looking for a resource to finally feel confident and organized in the content you are creating, you're gonna wanna grab this, so check out the description to do so. If you enjoyed this video and want even more tips and resources and insights, make sure to subscribe, give it a like, and I will see you next week.